you're back to the C Morning Show. So before we go on, we will have our first talk show. Baby.
Yes.
By the way,
Yes.
I want to ask you, Marissa, what parts of it? We know that Indonesia has a lot of culture, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of things that we can, lift up to global market.
Yes.
What parts of Indonesian culture you think should have more global exposure?
I think in terms of food, we kind of have already because rendang, which is this food from West Sumatra, has previously made the list to like CNN most delicious food or something like some years ago. But I think there are other aspects as well, right? And that's why we also want to see, because we're Indonesians.
Of course.
We are always seeing it from the
our
lenses.
perspective, right?
Exactly. So what about we also ask our guest for today, he's an Australian content creator known for his love and also passion of Indonesian food. He speaks fluent Indonesian. He also has opened a business establishment in Australia that relates to Indonesian wellness tradition that is known here as pijat or massage. So I would like to say, good morning, Nick. You're from Sydney, right? You're in Sydney, right? Hi.
Hello. Good morning.
Morning, pagi.
Selamat pagi.
Selamat pagi, Nick. Okay, you speak fluent Indonesian, but unfortunately we have to conduct this interview in English. You've made many useful content around fun facts on Indonesian food as well as wellness. What is it about Indonesia? Let's go back a little bit to many years ago. What is it about Indonesia that has fascinated you over the years that made you decide to take up Indonesian and Asian studies at University of Sydney back in 2011, if I'm not mistaken?
Correct. I'm the one that had to think about that. Initially, I had to do it for school, so we weren't really given a choice. It was compulsory from primary school. I studied all the way up until my HSC, and then I did it for my undergrad degree. So I went kind of all out. I went really hardcore for about 10 years, just focused on Indonesia. But I think what attracted me to it was it's like, people see it from like an outside perspective. We see it as one country, but once you get to know it, all of the different ethnic groups within Indonesia just really caught my eye because it's so diverse.
Yeah.
It's unlike many other countries in that sense.
Yeah. Since you're one of your Instagram accounts actually focused and has been focusing on Indonesian food, do you remember when was your first time tasting Indonesian cuisine and what was that experience like?
The first time I was in year 5, so it was in about 2003, and our Indonesian teacher made my mum come in and we cooked kerupuk. But it wasn't just kerupuk udang. It was, she had to cook about 15 types of kerupuk.
Oh my God.
There was kerupuk tempe, there was kerupuk tapioca, kerupuk beras. It was just a whole day of kerupuk, and we smelt like oil for about a week afterwards. But that was the first time that I was really like, oh, okay, it's not just gado-gado. There's a whole, you know what I mean? There's actually like a whole diverse culinary scene. So that was 21 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it started from kerupuk. That we take kerupuk as our, side dish or something. We don't really take kerupuk as our main thing.
Or actually a snack sometimes.
A snack sometimes because we'll have a lot of very...
Good with everything.
Exactly. So basically everything is good with kerupuk. So Nick, since I assume that you know Indonesia very well. And then what parts of Indonesian culture, you mentioned that Indonesia is very diverse. What part of Indonesian culture do you think should be more recognized globally?
I think it's the multicultural aspect of Indonesia. I mean, even learning Indonesian at school, we got taught about Javanese culture and Balinese culture, which are amazing. They're both amazing cultures. But then outside of that, I mean, the more you travel, everything's just so different. I think everyone's so friendly. I mean, obviously everyone's got their differences, but everyone still has that sense of pride for being Indonesian, even though being so different at the same time. I think a lot of foreigners don't see that.
And your channel, Masak Bareng Nick, right? It has around 500,000 followers so far. So what made you decide to create content on particularly Indonesian food?
I'm actually quite shy. It wasn't my choice. It was my wife and her friend that told me to do it in the first place.
Okay.
And then it kind of picked up. So I think I started in about 2015. There weren't many food bloggers, and there wasn't a lot of Indonesian food being sold in Sydney. So I used to sell it as well. I used to sell asinan Betawi, rujak juhi, and jajanan pasar. So I would kind of upload what I was cooking.
Right.
That's how it started. It was more selling stuff. And then the whole world of Instagram and TikTok came out where we tried to sell our personalities.
Wow. So you cook Indonesian food because even me,
even my mom didn't cook jajanan pasar.
Exactly. Jajanan pasar
because it's too complicated.
It is. It is hard. How did you learn to cook all these Indonesian dishes?
Originally, I actually volunteered at the Indonesian Welfare Association with my wife every Friday for 2014, and I would sell it to the aunties, and they're very, very honest people. So if it tasted bad, we found out within a good 5 minutes, and then I just kind of perfected it from there, and they helped me a lot. So I'd help them cook. It was for about 50 to 100 Indonesian aunties every Friday.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, they helped.
They help, of course.
And from there, it just kind of developed from there.
Okay, so since I believe that you cook Indonesian food such as, I don't know, jajanan pasar, you know about rujak, you know about gado-gado. A scale 1 to 10, okay, tell me the number. 1 to 10, which, give me the number, like you like the most from Indonesian food.
I have a real soft spot for lumpia. If you want lumpia from anywhere, lumpia Semarang.
Lumpia Semarang.
I love it.
Is it the fried one or the basah one, the wet one?
Basah one, the wet one.
Oh,
the fresh
why?
One. That's
Why?
the best.
Because I tend to like the goreng one, the one that is fried. Why the basah one?
I think, I don't know, it's just a textural thing because the inside's got that crunch from the bamboo and the outside's still soft. I don't know, it just tastes good. The fried ones are great, don't get me wrong. If you give me a whole plate of those, I will eat them. I will eat them.
Do you have any particular Indonesian dish that you remember the most, or the most memorable Indonesian dish that made you fall in love, Nick?
There's two. First one's pempek. The first time I tried pempek Palembang was just like, what is this? It was just so good.
Okay.
That was the first time. That was in 2010. And then the second one, I went to Papua in 2019.
What did you
Don't say you like papeda.
Papeda.
Really?
And ikan kuah kuning.
Oh my God.
It's amazing.
So I can. Oh, okay. So you like that kind of texture. Because when you said...
If it's like that, yeah. But gulai kikil, don't give it to me. No. No kikil, no urat.
So sagu's texture is
tapioca. It's like it's very chewy.
Very chewy.
It's slimy.
Slimy, yes, true.
Slimy.
The white,
I like slimy.
The white lumpia it's quite
also
slimy.
slimy.
Pempek is quite slimy, you know?
Well, a little bit. If you don't fry it, it does feel slimy. I bet you like kikil from West Sumatra as well because it's chewy and...
The urat part from the inside, the tendons, no, too chewy. But the outside, I can still,
The outside, the skin side.
Textural, I'm a bit,
Because you mentioned pempek is also made by tapioca, right?
Exactly,
so
it's chewy.
The same texture.
We're talking about Indonesian food here. So from all of the Indonesian cuisines that you've tasted, which Indonesian cuisines do you think are underrated and actually the world should know more about, and why?
Eastern Indonesian food. I mean, a lot of Indonesian people don't even know about Eastern
Such as
Indonesian
what?
food.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got daging sei, sambal luat. I mean, you go from NTT East. I mean, a lot of people just haven't heard of it. And it's good, it's very fresh. I think that video is one of them. But yeah, it's got that, it's not as spicy as some of the other ones. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's more fresh food.
Yeah.
It's just different.
Yes.
But
We believe when we travel across Indonesia, and then we find out that there's a lot of unique things from Indonesian culinary.
Yeah.
And the more we travel, the more unique that we find.
But this is actually great, Nick, because you sharing all this to us, because Indonesians, we tend to not travel within our country, right? Because of, I think we take it for granted. So this is actually a great little nudge for us, like, hey, actually there are so many areas and islands and places that we need to explore, especially for those of you who are foodies. There are a lot of different cuisines that we can try. So other than food, Asia, including Indonesia, is also famous for its wellness industry, and one in particular is its massage or pijat. So you have actually established a business of pijat or massage for wellness in Sydney. So what is the response among Sydney-siders on Indonesian pijat so far? Because probably, this is my assumption, they may typically be more familiar with or even choose the Western method that is physiotherapy, no?
Interesting. So 90% of my clients are Indonesian because they haven't found someone that's got that oomph when they massage. I mean, if you're if you're in Indonesia, kalau diurut, I mean, it's really intense. Physiotherapy and stuff here doesn't have that similar intensity. So a lot of them have tried physio and it's like, kurang nendang gitu loh. Like it doesn't.
That's the terms we use.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Not enough oomph. So in that sense, it's kind of been introduced to their partners and their Western family. They're like, oh, this works. So I'm going for the Indonesian community first and branching out.
Right.
See, I really get in there. I'm not quite strong.
So
because even Western massage, it's not that strong. It's very like relaxing. It's not a therapeutic thing. I'm like,
oh, you like the hard one, the hard massage, right? Like a Japanese traditional massage.
Exactly, or even Balinese.
Yes, that's what I do.
Yes. So what about the response from the 10% of non-Indonesian Sydney-siders there?
They have all become repeat customers, thank God. So obviously it's not bad. They're like, because I mean, it hurts when it's happening. I think that's what they don't realize. A massage session, for most Westerners, is like, oh, you come out in like a Zen zone. After you've seen me, it's like a gym session. Like you're really tired, like you've resisted the pain. But they like it because the next day they can move.
Okay.
I mean, so far so good.
So Nick, we know. I don't know if you are familiar with this. There's a lot of kind of wellness sort of pijat. Do you familiar with other things like kerokan?
Using coins.
Using the coins.
I can kerokan, I do that. Bekam, I can do.
Oh wow!
I studied herbalism with the Perkumpulan Herbalis Indonesia. So mas Jamu, I can make all the jamu. I went all out.
Did you offer that kind of wellness as well to? I don't know.
They sit
How's
down and
the
they're
response,
not feeling.
especially from
I'm very
those
big
trading?
on. At first they're slightly hesitant because people here use a lot more like Western medicine. They use pharmaceutical stuff. I work in the medical industry anyway. I have done for 12 years. So I'm used to the pharmaceutical side too. But when they can see that there's something that works but doesn't have as many side effects because natural stuff doesn't have the same, they love it. They get hooked on it. Jamu is really getting big over here.
Really?
Kunyit asam.
Okay.
In supermarkets, you can buy bottled jamu. I mean, people are really...
Wow.
What sort of jamu can easily be found or easily consumed by Australians? Because we know, like, for example, in the Netherlands, because of our history, the Dutch was here for 350 years. It's just so easy to access Indonesian stuff in the supermarket. But what about in Australia, especially in terms of jamu,
In Sydney, if we're talking ingredients-wise, I think in the city of Sydney now, I think something like 11% of the population's Indonesian. I mean, there's just been that huge influx. So the only things we can't get really are fresh stink beans, patek. You can't buy patek with the skin, and you can't buy jengkol. Other than that, we've got everything. So when I need to make something, it's all here. And a lot of it gets brought down from far north Queensland because the climate's similar. They can grow it up there and in Darwin. So I can get my hands on everything, but mainly kunyit asam. That's the big one.
Because I think people now are more aware about the benefit of turmeric and then for
Yeah,
our
that's
health,
true.
I think for the inflammations and for that, and then
Kunyit asal is the one
It's
that
very-
we women consume, right?
exactly.
Well, every month,
Yeah.
every time we...
Yeah, before a period,
Yeah,
after
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
period.
Ah, that's true.
Yeah, for the immune and everything.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's going global.
Fantastic.
So since you are, and also you are still making a content, right, for your channel with the Jamu and Pijit and things as well.
Best.
Or
Yes.
as you gain, I believe that you gain more viewers now. And then, is there any different approach that you are implemented to your content creations, or do you stick the same authentic style that initially drew people in, or I don't know, are you listening to what your audience wants, and then okay, it's like a challenge yourself to learn something new from Indonesia?
Yeah, so I have changed how I approach it, particularly since COVID. I think that people got a lot more well-read and people also wanted to become a lot healthier. Like
true.
people want to cook healthy food at home.
Yeah.
I mean, they want to make more whole foods.
Yeah.
So I can still connect it with my cooking content in the sense
Yes.
that now I can share the health benefits of what you're eating at home. Eat this, not that.
Yeah.
So still food, but more in the direction of let's not get sick from what we eat. Let's try and stay fit and healthy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's from that sense, and be more and have more respect for pasar tradisional because that stuff is so healthy.
Okay.
And people go to supermarkets and stuff. I mean, it's just so cheap and healthy. Most of it's organic. I mean,
Yeah.
Much
yeah, that's my
appreciated.
push at the moment.
Yes.
Go
pasar
old school.
tradisional.
Old school is good.
Actually, in 2025, I'm thinking of exploring more pasar tradisional. Actually, I mean, it's like yes, it's of course convenient going to a supermarket because, but you know, it's like a lot of the things now, even in supermarkets, they even package oranges in plastic individually,
Exactly. Yeah.
which you don't see that happening in pasar tradisional.
True,
They're all
true.
just like open, and you bring your own basket.
Exactly, and then you can choose what you like. You know, you can really select what you like, the best for you, and
exactly.
then
Instead of being prepackaged.
Exactly. Oh, Nick, I'm wondering before we go into our last questions, is there any new recipe that you are studying right now?
I'm trying to find, my big thing at the moment is going into the Asian supermarkets and seeing what strange vegetables we could find. So I'm trying to figure out what to do with lam toro. I found some the other day.
Gung,
Suka nggak lam toro?
yeah.
Pete Cina.
Pete Cina. Hang on, let me see lam toro.
okay.
Oh my gosh, yes, lam toro gung.
It's like it's similar with edamame, right?
Yes, well,
No,
I
it's
mean,
different?
Small, like
It's like
really
pete.
little.
yeah, lam toro.
They're
lam
good for
toro
making
gung.
botok.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
So I'm
see.
trying to. Everything I find, I was like, what's the health benefit? Like pate, they're really high in antioxidants.
Yes.
If you eat them,
love
you
it.
might smell the next day, but my God, the health benefits.
I actually
it's worth
don't
it.
care
Just
about
drink
the
a cup of
smell.
coffee.
Exactly. I love pate and I love jengkol.
Oh,
hey,
cool.
Nick,
Janko, oh.
you know, maybe because it's like you recently ventured into the wellness business and you did say that it's really hard to find pate and also jengkol. You can probably be an importer.
Yeah.
I have spoken to.
Yeah.
I know most of them through the food content, and they are trying to find ways.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because-
It's happening.
Exactly.
It's
There's
happening.
11% of Indonesian in Sydney. That's pretty good business, my friend. Anyways, thank you so much, Nick, for sharing with us here.
And the business tips from Marissa.
No, it's not for me. It's not really original. You've already thought about it. Thanks so much, Nick, for sharing. And we wish you success with whatever that you,
Thank you so
do. And thanks so much for helping to promote some of the wonderful things about our country. It's great. And say hello to your Indonesian wife as well. Send our love to her.
Me too. Thank you so much.
Best of luck. Thank you so much. It's very interesting. And yes, you're right, Marissa. I think this year 2025 we have to start to go local, especially for local markets.
Yeah.
And now it's not really traditional anymore because it's modern now.
It's a pasar modern
Exactly,
sekarang.
it's called pasar modern, but
right.
still
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can bargain, you
Yes.
can meet people, so you can have a chit chat with the, you know,
Yes.
local farmers, local shoppers. I mean, you can connect with people.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I will underline that. You can talk to people, you can connect with people.
And the bargaining things.
Yeah, that's part of the art in
More,
Indonesia. It's part of the art,
Let's
the art
not
of
lose
bargaining.
it.
Yes, exactly. All right, we are set for a commercial break. When we return, we'll bring you the world headlines.